So let's begin with the forecast for the month ahead. The sun will be in Gemini from May 20th to June 21st at 1:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. From now till then, a couple of things are going to be happening. The first thing that's going to be happening is on May 25th at 12:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Now, in my last video, I taught you a little bit about solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. Well, a lunar eclipse is when the Earth stands between the moon and the sun, cutting off the light of the sun from the moon. And a lunar eclipse is always a full moon, and it usually marks endings or culmination points. So on May 25th, we're going to be feeling kind of this culmination point somewhere in our lives. And it will be in the sign of Sagittarius. And so it really depends where Sagittarius is in your chart, what house it falls into, to kind of understand what's going to be happening there for you. The next thing that's going to be happening is on May 31st. Two things are going to be happening on May 31st. The first thing is Mercury is going to move into Cancer at 3:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Mercury was just in Taurus. No, wait. It's going into Cancer, so it was just in Gemini. Sorry about that. It was just in Gemini, and Gemini is all about being quick, being adaptable, go with the flow, very chatty. But Cancer is way more, it's water sign, so it's way more internal, it's way more emotional, it feels everything, it's very intuitive, and it kind of wants to control certain situations emotionally. And so it being in Mercury, depending again where it is in our chart, we're going to be feeling extra sensitive to our communication. We may take things personally. And also, we're going to be very intuitive. So we'll be able to walk in a room and kind of feel what's going on. We're going to feel the energy versus think about the energy, right? And so that's going to happen May 31st. That's when Mercury's going to go into Cancer, and it'll be there for about a month. And then also on May 31st at 6:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mars will move into Gemini. Now, Mars was just in Taurus, and it'll move into Gemini. And so that's going to bring more talkative energy out in terms of where we want to put our determination and our raw drive into things. And so we're going to have this kind of like this new, like raw drive, inspirational feeling relating to wanting to learn new things and wanting to gain new knowledge and information. The next thing that's going to be happening in the month ahead is on June 2nd, Venus will move into Cancer. Again, it's going to really enhance that Mercury in Cancer. This is going to happen on June 2nd at 10:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so again, we're going to have this real feeling of emotions coming out. But with Venus there, what that kind of manifests as is Venus is all about beauty and values and passion and what we love and value and even romance. And so we're going to really see a need around the beginning of June to start really wanting to connect more deeper in our connections with people. And we may even start having this kind of like newfound love and passion for wanting to be at home and cook and be very homey, because that's one of Cancer's themes. And another thing, there's a lot happening. Another thing that's going to happen is on June 7th at 4:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the planet Neptune, which is in Pisces, is going to go retrograde. Now, why is this important? Pisces is actually ruled by Neptune. Neptune is a Pisces planet. And so it's already creating this more intensified experience being in its natural sign. And it's been there for a little bit of time now, but it's going to go retrograde. And Pisces and Neptune are both kind of the dreamy, rose-colored glasses, if you will, planet and sign of the zodiac. And it's really all about fantasy. So any way we can escape, and sometimes escaping is good because it means that we're creating. Maybe we're writing a song, maybe we're reading a story, maybe we're seeing this epic movie that we just love the story of, right? And we escape into that beautiful story. But then there's the negative of Neptune and Pisces, which is escaping away from reality to avoid it and escaping using drugs, alcohol, what have you, or just being lazy or eating food or watching TV. And so with Neptune going retrograde, we're going to see in the negative manifestation form, we're going to see a need to escape, a need to avoid reality. This is happening on June 7th, by the way. And it'll be retrograde for quite some time. But the positive is us feeling way more inspired, because retrograde is an internal experience. So we might be feeling way more inspired, and we might get a dose of inspiration to write a new song or create. And the last thing to look forward to this month ahead is on June 10th, we begin pre-Mercury retrograde. Folks, this is not good. Now, Mercury retrograde gets a really bad rap because Mercury retrograde, it's one of the planets that is closest to the Earth. So, for example, Neptune's going retrograde, but it's a little bit farther away and it's a slower moving planet, so we don't feel it as intensely. Whereas Mercury's changing signs, kind of follows the sun. It changes signs almost every month, and it's closer to the Earth, and so we feel it way more when it goes retrograde than any other retrograding planet. That's why it's so well known, Mercury retrograde. And Mercury is actually a Gemini planet. So we're approaching Sun in Gemini right now. So it's a really kind of, it may even be more intense. It might be more intense because Gemini is all about communication and connecting and kind of the physical plane type of level of communication, transportation, technology. During a Mercury retrograde, people find that everything breaks down. Technology stalls, phones break. They say not to buy any electronics during this time. All of that stuff is very true. But the good of Mercury retrograde is it's a time to slow down, to go inward, and to really slow down. So meditation, yoga, therapy, art, right? And another great thing about Mercury retrograde is it also brings in past and old friends, almost like a reunion kind of feeling. So you may see some of that as well during that time. But anyway, so on June 10th is the pre-Mercury retrograde. What that means is it's not Mercury retrograde yet, but we usually start to feel it about 1 to 2 weeks before it starts. And I find that the pre-Mercury retrograde is sometimes the worst time, because we're not ready for it. And then once we go retrograde, we start to adapt to that. So I usually find that it's the before, the pre, and the after, the post, that is the hardest times when it comes to Mercury retrograde. So that's the forecast for the month ahead. Thank you so much for watching my third video in my sun sign video series. I will have videos for you every month, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And tell all your friends, especially your favorite Gemini pal. And don't forget to come over to my website, natalbirthchart.com. It's right below. Get your reading today. It's an amazing experience to see what's going on behind the surface for you, your husband, maybe your father, maybe your mother, brother, or maybe your biggest enemy, to see what's really going on. Goodbye, everyone.